Let's take a look now at the stages of selling. Ken Greenwood has 4 stages of a salesperson career. The first stage is the novice. The novice are the new sellers that are faced with learning their own product and the industry in general. So a new salesperson is going to get a good bit of training in terms of the company itself, what the company offers, different types of packages that it makes available to advertisers, some of the tools that they use to be able to put together sales presentations, ways that they have on calling on clients, different budgets that you may have for being able to do certain things for your clients. All of that is going to be the young grasshopper, if you will, the novice, learning all of these different things. From the novice stage, you go to the learner stage. The learner is the level at which the salesperson begins to listen rather than to talk. They gain confidence and a better understanding of the selling process. So what makes the difference here is that the novice is basically just trying to take in everything he or she can and then basically spit that back out. The learner is able to kind of process all of those different things, and as he or she is listening to potential customers, he is taking what is being said and integrating that with the things that the salesperson has learned, and be able to try to make some judgments and be able to make certain decisions and go forward with the sales process. Thirdly, the competent. The competent seller becomes more aware of solving problems for the buyer. So it's even a much better sense than the learner. The competent person doesn't have to sit there and think about all the different things that he or she can do. It's much more automatic. The competent seller is actively looking for all these different things to be able to help the customer solve his or her needs, and then be able to go and offer the solutions that are available. Finally, the professional. The professional is a place where the account that you're dealing with truly becomes a customer, and it's not just a sale. Salespeople at this level know their accounts well enough to forecast buyer needs and to combine accounts in promotional activity. So what this means here is that you have that relationship fully developed. You are intimately aware of your customer's needs, able to integrate the things that are going on in his or her business with the things that are going on in the media world and what advertising can do. And all of that just kind of comes together in such a way that you're regularly checking on your customer. You're regularly letting them know about different packages that are available at the station you're working for, and helping them to be able to maximize their potential while also maximizing your company's potential and maximizing your potential. Personal marketing plan. Before you sell any product, you have to sell yourself, no matter what business is involved. Everybody can take advantage of a personal marketing plan. So here, again, we're talking about setting goals for yourself, putting plans in place for yourself to be able to measure your own progress, to be able to help keep yourself on track. This is independent of what may be expectations from the company of you. These are the expectations that you have for yourself. Being good at selling your product and being good at selling yourself are two different aspects of selling. You need to be able to master both, because again, as we talked about with the type of salesperson that becomes so well at doing relationships, that if that salesperson were to go from company to company, many times the buyers for that particular salesperson will follow him or her wherever he or she goes. And that's a great goal to be able to have, is to have such good relationships with your clients that they will follow you in that way. And the way that you do that, as much as you sell the company, is also selling yourself. Okay, let's talk about goal setting. Now, you may remember this name from your intro class, David Sarnoff, one of the pioneers of radio and television. David Sarnoff says this: a life that hasn't a definite plan is likely to become driftwood. In other words, if you want to succeed in any sort of endeavor, you must have a plan. You need to know what you want to accomplish so that you'll know that you've done it. So this is a very different approach to just kind of living life in the moment, but actually putting thought and strategy into place as to what you want to see yourself be able to accomplish in the future. For the seller, only the most specific goal setting works. If it's not in writing, it's not a goal, says Tom Hopkins. And that's an important sort of thing. You have to have some sort of accountability when you're doing goal setting to be able to write it down, to be able to look at it, to be able to see on paper what plans you have for yourself in order to be able to refer to it, to be able to check up on yourself on a regular process. The day that you put your goal in writing is the day that it has become a commitment that will change your life. There's accountability there just by having it on a piece of paper. So, some rules that Hopkins has for goal setting. First off, put your goal in writing. Put it on paper. Post it on your wall. Put it in a notebook that you see on a regular basis. Do something where you have it in writing and you have it readily available. Make your goals specific. Broad desires and lofty aims have no effect. So you want to make very detailed sorts of goals that they're going to be able to be measurable, for example. Goals must be believable. Doug Edwards says this: if you don't believe that you can achieve a goal, you won't pay the price for it. So it's something where you want to make goals that are going to be realistic in order to be able to reach. Don't say that you want to make $1 million in 5 days. Most people aren't going to do that. But if you set yourself goals that you can achieve a certain amount of sales, achieve a certain amount of revenue within a set period of time, that's something that may be believable and realistic and attainable. An effective goal is an exciting challenge. If your goal doesn't push you beyond where you've been before, it isn't going to provide a challenge. It's not going to change your lifestyle. So it has to be a goal that you actually want to achieve. Adjust your goals to new information. Adjust goals down if they're unbelievable or up if they're too easy. Your goal should be somewhat of a living document. If you realize that a goal that you have is too lofty, change it up. If you realize that you're achieving your goals too quickly, make harder ones for yourself. Dynamic goals guide your choices. If you've set your goals properly, they'll show you which way to go on most decisions. So this is the kind of thing where when you have the ability to set goals and you have the ability to work on them and make progress on them, you do want, again, this to be somewhat of a living document. Change your goals as you go along. Change some of the nuances of your goals. It helps to keep you motivated and helps you to keep working harder and higher. Don't set short-term goals for more than 90 days. It keeps your interest high, and you'll see measurable results in just 3 months. So your short-term goals are things that you do want to achieve in a short amount of time. And it's something that you can measure very quickly. It's something that you can measure very succinctly. So it's something that you ought to do on a very regular basis, in addition to the idea that short-term goals can have very quick action steps, and it helps keep you on pace to be able to keep not just those goals, but your larger goals at the same time. Balance long-term and short-term goals. Create enough short-term goals so that you can measure progress while waiting for the payoff period of the long-term goal. So your short-term and long-term goals should have a certain type of relationship with each other. Your short-term goals are going to be such that they will help you to achieve your long-term goals in one way or another. So these are things that are very much going to be ever-changing, quickly attainable, and help you in your overall progress of what you want to see throughout your career. Include your loved ones. Let the family know what you're trying to achieve so that they can cheer you on. This is an important part. We all need encouragement to be able to continue doing what it is that we're doing, and family can be a great asset to help us to be able to do that. Close friends are a great asset for this as well. Let people know what it is you want to do so that they can encourage you in that process. Set goals in all areas of your life. Goals work when they're used, so make good use of them in all areas of your life. This isn't just a sales thing. This is something to help you to be able to achieve just about any sort of accomplishment that you have in life. Make a goal for yourself. Put action steps into place to achieve those goals, then go out and do it. Goals must harmonize. If your goals fight with each other, you lose. Hopkins says this: use your goals program to get rid of frustration, not to create it. So it's not just the aspect that you want to make sure that your goals complement each other so that your short-term goals match up with your long-term goals and that you're able to achieve all of those things while you're working towards your progress. It's the fact that goals are supposed to help you to get better at whatever it is that you're setting your goal for. It should not stress you out to the point that you become frustrated, that you become dismayed with the goals that you're trying to achieve, and then just drop out altogether. You want to make sure that the goals that you set are things that you really want to achieve, and then put yourself in the position where you're going to be successful at achieving those goals so long as you are disciplined and focused in sticking to your plan, as opposed to putting things in place where you have too many interests going in too many different directions, and in order to achieve one goal, you have to sacrifice another. Don't do that to yourself. Review your goals regularly. Long-term goals can only be achieved if they are the culmination of your short-term goals. New goals should rise out of your previous goals that you've achieved. One of the ways that I talk about this is that you want to set a vision for what it is that you want to do. And I talk about this in a lot of different aspects of the broadcasting world, whether you're working on a radio production, whether you're working on some other type of project. It's true in sales as well. Have a vision for where you want to be. What does that look like? What's your experience when you get to the point where you've achieved your goal? Ponder that, and then think about the ways that you are going to get there. So everything you do in terms of achieving that goal, from your different habits to the way that you set up relationships with people, to the way that you do research, to the types of offerings that you make available, all of those sorts of things should have as an element to it a way of realizing your overall goal or your overall vision for what it is that you want to realize in your end game. So make sure that things all kind of work in that complementary sort of way, that your smaller goals, that your action steps are all in harmony with the overarching big goal that you have. Set vivid goals. Vivid goals conjure a clear and concise picture of something concrete. So this is something where we're talking about, when we talk about things being vivid, we're talking about it in such a way that it's something that you can very much visualize, something that you can picture. Again, that idea of having a vision for what your end game is for your goals. You can see it. You can taste it. It's very much an alive sort of thing. Set vivid goals. Don't chisel your goals in granite. Be ready to change if you have to. Again, your goal should be a living document. If you see things going in one way or another and you need to change in order to be successful, that's okay. Go ahead and do that. Reach into the future. The whole idea of setting goals is to plan your life. So set the goals for what you want to see, in yourself. And make sure that they're things that you truly want to embrace. And as you're motivated by the things that you want and you desire, you'll be more apt to actually go out and do your best to get them. Have a set goal for every day and review results every night. You'll find yourself able to feel good about little events. Whether you want to do that every day or not might be a little bit of a stretch. But you do want to have a regular set time that you are checking up on your progress. Some people do see effectiveness in looking at how well they're doing things on a consistent daily basis. For some people, it may be weekly. For some people, it may be monthly. But you do want to have regular check-ins with how you are doing, because it will help to keep you motivated, help you to see problem areas where you may need to change certain things. All of that very important. Train yourself to crave your goals. Visualizing what you want motivates you to achieve it. Again, you have to have the desire for these things to happen. If you're not motivated, you're not going to work towards your end game. Set activity goals, not production goals. How many prospecting calls will I make today, for example, as opposed to how many packages will I sell? So you can control the amount of stuff that you do. You can't always necessarily control the results. So set action steps for yourself that meet the fact that you've accomplished certain things and that they're things that you have control over, as opposed to what others have a little more control over than you do. Make luck work for you. If you feel lucky, you'll get lucky. So in this sort of way, it's kind of that idea of whether you believe in the concept of luck or not. It's the idea that you want to see positive change. And in order to see positive change, you're going to do things in a positive sort of way. That's going to help to fuel that sort of thing. Don't let a lot beat you up, get you down. Be constantly looking at the good aspects of what you're doing. The things are bad. You need to focus on them, because you may need to change some things here and there. But the good that's happening, make sure you note those successes, what happened there, and keep that as a motivator, as an encourager, as something to learn from, where maybe you can apply those things to other aspects of your job. All of that very important. Finally, the last one, start now. Don't put things off. The more you put things off, the more that you are going to not realize your goals. So there's no better day to start than today. Goal setting is a process. Setting, reaching, and revising goals. All of that is going to take time. Dennis Conner says this: make your goals central to everything you do, so everything else shapes itself around them. So in this idea, the thing of it is that we are going to be investing a good amount of time in realizing the things that we want to realize. And we need to recognize that and because time is of the essence. We're all not guaranteed a set amount of time on this earth. We're all not guaranteed a set amount of time in our jobs. There is a bit of a timeliness that is important here. And the fact that it's going to take time for us to get from beginning to end, that is something that we need to keep in mind. So we need to be continually working on improving our situation on a very regular basis. Speaking of time, let's talk about time management. We cannot actually manage our time. That's kind of a misnomer. We can only manage ourselves and therefore use the time at our disposal effectively. So it's not so much about manipulating the time that we have as much as it is manipulating ourselves, keeping ourselves motivated to recognize that we only have a certain amount of time and to make that work to our advantage. Stephen Covey offers 4 generations of time management. First off, there's notes and checklists, an effort to recognize the many demands placed on our time and energy. Second is calendars and appointment books, an attempt to look ahead and schedule the future. Thirdly, adding priorities, clarifying values, and comparing the relative worth of activities to those values. Now, this is an important one because there's a lot of things that can be time intensive, but may not necessarily have priority over other sorts of activities that we could be doing that may be much more effective. So this is something that many people have to work on, is the idea of what is truly important and what needs to have an investment of my time more so than other things. And the things that may be more important may be the things that don't necessarily take as much time. So we need to think about that. Fourthly, focusing on results and not on time. So while deadlines are very much important in the broadcasting world, we also have to recognize that we are looking to achieve certain goals that are of a numbers value, of a monetary value. As far as our employer is concerned, we need to keep that in mind. We also need to keep in mind our personal goals that we've been setting and look at how well we are making in our progress there. If it's going to take a little more time, we do our best to account for that as much as possible. If we may not necessarily have enough time to hit all of those goals, maybe we revisit and look at which ones are more important than others. Now, one thing I do want to say about notes and checklists and calendars and all that sort of thing is that as a salesperson, you will have lots of appointments with lots of different people. You will have lots of dates and deadlines to be able to keep track of. And you will want to have some sort of way of being able to keep track of all of that. Whether you use a smartphone or you use a traditional date calendar book, or you write a bunch of notes on a legal pad, whatever it is, there is going to be some way that you're going to want to keep track of that besides keeping track of all of it in your head, because there is going to be a lot that is going on. Covey has a time management matrix. You'll see the picture in your textbook that helps to explain this a little bit more. The 2 factors that define any activity are urgency and importance. Important matters that are not urgent require more initiative and more proactivity. So again, there's that aspect of what is demanding your time, which is more important, and trying to figure that out. We tend to use that term urgent for something that we feel like needs to happen right now. And there are things that if you don't do them right now, you may miss out on them. But are they important? And setting priorities is going to be a big, big deal. We are easily diverted into responding to the urgent, not the important. As long as you focus on the urgent and important matters in quadrant 1, they are going to dominate your life. Now, if they are urgent and important, yes, obviously we want to take care of those things immediately. But if they're not necessarily both, that's what we want to focus our attention on right now. In Covey's mind, quadrant 2, the heart of effective personal management are the things that are not urgent, but are important. So there's kind of that assessment of where your priorities are once again, and making sure that you're setting your priorities in such a way that you are going to see much greater potential for success for your company, for yourself, as opposed to dealing with the things that are constantly clamoring for your attention right now that may not necessarily be important. Again, it comes down to personal taste as far as how you keep up your system. You need to use some system, make it your one-stop reference for goal setting, for goal getting, for scheduling, for personal record keeping. Whatever best works for you is what you need to use. I just started in the last year using reminders from Google to help me keep track of different types of appointments and deadlines and things like that. And it's been a life changer for me. As long as I remember to actually put the dates and the reminders into my calendar, which I'm still working on that myself. Psychology. The Futurist Report, The Science of Happiness, shows 4 traits of happy people. First off, happy people like themselves. They have high self-esteem. I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. It's an important aspect. Happy people feel personal control. They feel empowered rather than helpless. So there's that sense of having a certain confidence in who you are, what you're all about, what you're capable of doing. Along with self-esteem, there's kind of that self-sufficiency in a certain way, or at least having a sense of knowing where to go for things, how to be able to do things when you need to tap into those resources. But you have that sense that you have control of what is going on. Happy people are optimistic, always looking on the bright side of life. Looking for the best, the positive in every situation is going to help you. Now, the fourth one, there can be a little bit of debate on. Happy people tend to be extroverted. They tend to show themselves as much happier. But that doesn't necessarily mean that the introvert that sits in the back of the corner and reads and pays attention to himself, herself, isn't necessarily happy. However, in our environment, introverted people may find more of a challenge to be able to work in a sales environment where you are constantly dealing with other people, whether it's your sales managers, whether it's your potential clients, whoever else. If you have that sense that people drain you and you're still motivated to do sales, there's things that you're probably going to need to do to help you to be able to recharge, which may mean withdrawing at certain times, which may mean putting practices into place to help you to be more social at certain times that you don't feel like being social. So sales may be a career that is more geared towards the extrovert, but it doesn't mean that the introvert can't succeed. As sellers, we might equate money with happiness, but money is simply a means to an end, not an end to itself. If we create an appropriate environment for our clients' messages, our clients get results, our advertising is paid for, we receive a commission that we use for that income for life management or life leadership, as the time management people call it. Here's the thing here. While money is great, and money can help us be comfortable in many different types of ways, if all you're in it for is the money, you may not necessarily be happy. And that's a question that all of us have to ask, is the type of quality of life that we want to have, not just in terms of material wealth, but in terms of actual enjoyment of life and what that means for each of us. That's a question that we all have to ask ourselves. And for all of us, the answer is going to be very different. And it's important for you to have the answer for that question for yourself. Tom Hopkins has 6 motivators of selling. First off, there is money. We've been talking about how money's not as important, but it is a significant motivator. It's good as long as what you earn is in direct proportion to the service that you give. So the more that you push, the more that you strive, hopefully, ideally, the more that you will earn. Security. Abraham Maslow tells us that the average human being strives daily to supply physical needs. We want to feel like that we've got those four walls of food, clothing, shelter, transportation, that we can make it from day to day. That sense of being able to be self-reliant as much as possible, or again, knowing where to get resources when we need them. If we are not secure in our own situation, we're going to have a hard time dealing with any sort of career that is out there. Thirdly, achievement. Almost everyone wants to achieve, but almost no one wants to do what is necessary to achieve. Here we're talking about self-discipline, self-motivation, to go out and do the things that are necessary in order for you to achieve your goals. Recognition. Hopkins feels people will do more for recognition than for anything else, even money. We all like to be appreciated. We all like to get a pat on the back when we've done a job well and when we've achieved our goals. It's important to us, and it's not unusual for us to want to expect to receive that sort of recognition when we've done things. Now, at the same time, we may not always get that in the careers that we choose to do. So there are ways that we may need to encourage ourselves. We may need to find our encouragement and recognition from people other than those that we necessarily expected from. Going back to that idea of letting our loved ones know what our goals are so that they can cheer us on and they can celebrate with us when we have certain successes. But hopefully the workplace will do that for us too. Acceptance by others. Surround yourself with the people most like the person you want to become and work to gain their acceptance. It's good to have mentors. It's good to have people that you want to emulate. Definitely connect yourselves with those kinds of people and learn from them as much as you can. Ask questions as much as you can. Let them be encouragers for you. Finally, self-acceptance. If you accept yourself, you have arrived exactly where you want to be. Can't stress enough how much it is important for us to have a certain desire for ourselves to do well, and for us to like ourselves, to be quite honest. The more that we feel good about ourselves, the more that we are able to cheer ourselves on, the better that we are going to be in the sales environment and in any other environment. We need to have good, healthy self-image, good, healthy ways of looking at ourselves, and that's going to be a major cornerstone in anything that we do. All right, you and selling. First-year salespeople spend more time learning than earning. High learn equals low earn. Again, it's that aspect that this is a time-intensive sort of career. It is one that it's going to take time to learn all the different things that you need to do to be able to put them into place. You're investing that time, and the more that you invest in that, and the more you stick with it for the long haul, the more that you're able to take in different principles and learn different ways of being able to handle different situations, the better your potential is to be able to succeed in the sales business. Successful salespeople learn to handle rejection. So here's the thing. A lot of times, for the most part, you're going to hear no quite a bit. And you have to be able to deal with the fact that people are going to say no to you and not spend a lot of time talking to you. A lot of times salespeople, they tend to do pretty well if they get a 10% return on the investment of working in cold calls and sending out notes and emails and all that sort of thing. In reaching out to prospects. 25% is really, really good. think about it this way. If you're in baseball and you're a hitter, people that hit a ball 1 time out of 3 at bats are the ones that make it into the Hall of Fame. So batting averages, even around 1 in 5, a 200 batting average, is considered to be pretty decent. So kind of keeping things in perspective there. You may not hit every sale that you try to go out and do. Most likely you will not hit every sale unless you are just a sales god. But recognizing that this type of job has a lot of rejection that goes along with it is why we've talked so much about self-image and setting goals and all of that sort of thing, because it's going to be so important as a motivator for you as you go out there and work in trying to realize revenue for your company.